Dear friends, hello. Today we have with us a person, believe it or not, but he has 4 nationalities. I think it's already amazing. This person, he was doing vaccines and he has PhD in medicine. I think vaccine now is the most popular word after sanitizer. And this person is a great public speaker who can teach anybody and anything to speak. His name is Chris Baldwin.
Hi,
hello, Chris.
Hello, thank you for having me on the show.
This is a big honor. Dear Chris, I would like to know, I watched some of your TEDx speeches. Tell me, please, why you are so much attached to TEDx and what you are doing with that also. I know that you have some initiative to help people to speak better.
Well, actually, you know, TEDx, this opportunity came to me by accident. I was in the 3rd month of my career as a professional speaker, just about 90 days in, and I was sick in bed. I had a throat infection, I had a cold, I had a fever, and I was just behind this curtain here, and I was in the guest bed, and my agent calls me and says, "Would you like to do a TEDx talk?" And I said, "Yes, of course. When is it?" And he goes, "It's tomorrow." And so I've been trained as a professional speaker, and professional speakers are always prepared for everything, and we can get speeches done really quickly. And so the next day, I prepared my TEDx talk in the morning. I delivered it in the afternoon with a throat infection. My voice wasn't 100%. I had a fever. You can see in the TEDx talk, I was sick. I had about 39.5-degree fever, and I delivered that TEDx talk. And it was
wonderfully delivered, and nobody believed you that you have a fever 39.5. No.
That's the thing. Everyone's thinking about themselves. No one is really thinking about you when you're up on stage. We're all thinking about ourselves. I delivered that TEDx talk in 14 minutes. It was rated the best TEDx talk of the day. There were 200 people in that audience in front of me. It was the most relevant to crossing borders, which was a theme. I had to create a talk around that theme, and it went viral on YouTube. And that TEDx talk, although I gave it for free, generated over 50,000 euros in revenue in the 6 months following the TEDx talk. I keynoted at the Dutch Premier.
Amazing. You know, since you touched this TEDx talk, I would like then to start with my first question. At this TEDx talk, you said that people be careful. Now you are using technology, and technology is a good thing. And you gave example with the paper, and you said if you turn this paper, if you start folding it, if you want to reach the moon, it will take you 50 years, 100 years. But if you have exponential growth of technology, you can do it much quicker because technology is helping. And you said that all of us, we have 150 connections that we can manage. But if it is more, it's become toxic. So what you were saying? Can you explain to me, please?
Well, yeah, basically, you know, I've got a PhD in medicine, and I study viruses and bacteria, right? Bacteria, what makes us sick. Now, the funny thing is that viruses and bacteria also grow exponentially. You know, 1 becomes 2, becomes 4, becomes 8, becomes 16. And they are key to us developing. They're key to life because they've helped us evolve, but they also make us very sick. And when you look at technology, as opposed to human beings and how human beings grow, human beings have evolved over millions of years, right? We don't grow exponentially. We're actually on a very linear curve. But technology, it's binary. It's ones and zeros, and it also grows exponentially, just like bacteria and viruses. And that's where the disconnect is that technology grows much faster than we do. It evolves much faster than we do. And actually, when you look at what technology does, it allows the flow of information, right? Data. And it does that at the speed of light. So faster than we can handle it. And so, and how are we using technology? Well, when you think about it, you're like, what's a website? What are all these things, like from email to YouTube to Facebook? They help us to connect, right? They help us to connect with other people, and they help us to transfer information through these connections. Just basic communication, like video, like we have now. And because they're exponential, there's no limit to what we can do with them, right? So before the internet, there was a lot of research done on this number called the Dunbar number. Before technology, before the internet, 150 relationships was kind of the maximum we could handle. And actually, they built organizations and even military operations around this number. That's why a large organization is divided down into divisions and groups and teams, because we can actually effectively work with over 150 people in our team. Right?
Chris, I'm sorry, these 150 connections that you are mentioning, you mean we can have 150 people whom we know, or we can work with 150 people, or we can, like, what's this mean?
Meaningful connections. People that you remember their name and you remember the conversation you're having with them. Right? And in the offline, think about it. Like, think about how many people that you really know their name, you really know them, you know the last conversations you've had. For most of us, it does not exceed 150. Actually, we get overloaded at 150. But now, with the internet, these restrictions are broken down because we can connect unlimited, right? Facebook, Instagram. And so it becomes quantity over quality. And what you notice is that every single one of these connections takes a little bit of your time, a little bit of your attention, a little bit of your energy. And if you have too many of them and you're trying to service them, it's overwhelming. And so at some point, the Dhamma number comes into effect and we start to disconnect. We start to swipe the other way. We start not to answer. We start to ignore. And we start to lean towards the meaningful connections in our lives, the people that actually help us, that add value to our lives, the people that we want to communicate with. And that's the Dhamma number just playing its role in technology. And the whole thing is about organizations trying to connect with customers. Sometimes where you've got to realize that a customer or a client, they have all these connections going on online and offline. And as a company, you've got to be careful not to overwhelm them, because the Dhamma number comes into effect. And if you're trying to connect with them too often, too fast, too quickly, well, they'll just swipe the other way and turn you off. Now the people are
so you recommend we need to think which connections we really need and to limit ourselves, not to exceed them. Let's say if you say 150, it's maximum. We cannot exceed it because it will be overwhelming. It's not to the plus, it's already to the minus. Then ourselves, we should start to reduce it to the meaningful connections only.
Absolutely. And that's a natural process. And everyone goes through this because we're self-regulating. Human beings, when we feel the pain, when we feel something's wrong, we self-regulate. And the self-regulating is that we just can't handle that many connections, that many relationships. And so we make a choice.
Do you think, Chris, that the relationships nowadays, for many people, they don't become that long when people were living 50 years, 60 years together and were dying in one day, which is ideally, which is in the fairy tales, which it should be like that, and we believe in that. Maybe nowadays, because we think that we can meet people that easy, that is the reason why there is no that deep relationships. Do you think it's connected or no?
Well, I think at the end of the day, we do things to help us get what we want, right? At the end of the day, our wants, our needs, and our desires drive our behavior. They drive our thoughts. And so basically, we limit it to the people that help us get what we want. From love to relationship to, I was thinking about, like, why do we have pets? Like, these are relationships we have too, right? Cats and dogs. Do you have a cat or a dog? Or any pet?
I love dogs. Since I'm small, I always had dogs. I love dogs very much.
So I've got a cat. I'm a sort of cat person. And cats are incredible creatures, like dogs are. They're your boss, right? You're an employee with a cat, right?
Without saying, definitely.
With the dog.
Yes.
And cats, like, what is it with pets? Like, it's so easy to make them happy. It's so easy to make an animal happy. Their expectations are so low. You give them cuddles, you walk them, you give them food, and they're happy. And when they're happy, we're happy. So it's actually a vehicle to really unlock just temporarily happiness in ourselves, right? Because try to do that with another human being. Their expectations are so high. You have to work so hard to make them happy sometimes.
That's true.
It's just too much effort. But take a pet. it's so easy to make happy. And when they're enjoying themselves, when they're happy, that makes us feel happy. And so when you look at the psychology, these are meaningful relationships that give us happiness, and we can acquire the happiness really quickly. Just a little biscuit for your dog.
Just because you come home, already it's a big happiness, already it's a big present.
Exactly.
That's why really we love pets. And today I read one article about one Japanese man who said, my job is just to be nobody. His name is Morimoto, something like this. I will be happy to invite him actually to the show. He said, I do nothing. Just if you want a person whom you can drink coffee and talk, if you want me to listen to your story, I will come. If you want me to stay in the queue for the doctor with you, if you don't have a partner or a friend or somebody who be with you, if you're afraid to go to the exam, but you want, I will stay with you. And you cannot imagine, he received thousands and thousands of messages. Please be with me because I don't have anybody.
Yeah. You know, on this, there's a lot of people here, entrepreneurs running organizations in all over the world. There are actually a number of basic needs that we have as human beings, right? The Maslow pyramid and all of that. But really, I've managed teams, I've led organizations, I've had my own companies, and there are really only 4 things that people are looking for in their work and in their life. And what you're describing with this Japanese character, he's actually catering to these 4 things. The number one thing that everybody needs in an organization, anywhere, is the feeling to be heard. People have this need to be heard. And when we're not heard, well, we shout, we scream, right? And like babies, right? They really just scream it out. The second need is to be understood. Just to be heard is not enough. We need people to understand us, understand our pain, understand our problems, understand our dreams, our wants. And so to be understood is this second feeling. The third one is appreciation. We need a feeling of appreciation. And the fourth one is importance. We need to feel that it's important, that turning up matters for somebody, right? And when you're describing this Japanese character, that's what he's doing. He's catering to these 4 needs. He's listening, making people feel heard, making people feel understood, and he's appreciating them and making them feel important. And
maybe you can also do this in Amsterdam. You see, I'm giving you some idea. Chris, at least I'm going now to public speaking. Since you're a specialist in this, you can make people tell their stories and really to be heard. And in one of the interviews, you said that if you make a very good speech from the stage, you can change everything in your business and in your life, because so many people can hear that and it can be like life-changing. So what do you think? What do you teach your, partners, students, companies? What is the secret for great public speaking?
So firstly, 4 years ago, I was terrified of public speaking. You couldn't pay me to get on a stage. I would never get on a stage. When I was doing my PhD back in 2003, I did my PhD between 2001, 2007, developed a vaccine against HIV, discovered the first drug-dependent virus in the field, and I was invited to go to Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory in New York and present. And what I didn't know was 1,000 people in the audience. And I had my 10 PowerPoint slides, and I was sitting on the side of the auditorium next to the exit. Just before I was called up to go to the podium, there were Nobel laureates in the front row. And I was sick. I was nauseous. And I had to run outside. I threw up in the bushes, cleaned myself up, came back inside. And the next thing I knew, they were calling my name. And I went up on stage and I gave a 10-minute presentation, 10 PowerPoint slides on my discovery. I don't remember a thing I said. But what I do know is that for 13 years after that, I never presented again. It was such a terrible ordeal. And until I joined an organization, I was strategic director, and I was required to go up on the stage and present in front of the industry. I was required to present meaningful connections, the topic of my TED Talk, to inspire our customers and our clients to want to do business with us. And so I started to learn the art of public speaking. And 2 years into that journey, I discovered one little rule, one little thing that changed everything for me. It would be like the one message I would send back to my 7-year-old self. That little boy that was afraid of what everyone thought of him. And this little rule is the 18-40-60 rule. And the rule goes something like this. At 18 years old, all you care about is what other people think of you. We're so busy creating our own self-image, from the makeup we put on, to the clothes, to the haircut, to our appearance, to who we hang out with. We are so busy with our self-image and so busy worrying about what other people are thinking of us and the judgments they're putting on us. Now, when you get into your 40s, for some people it's a little bit earlier, for some people it's a little bit later, you start not to give a damn about what anybody thinks of you. Screw the world, I'll do me, thank you very much, right? And as the rule goes, when you get into your 60s, you start to realize that all this time, nobody's been thinking about you at all.
Which is true.
It's true. And so why do we spend our whole lives worrying about it? Why do we spend our whole lives spending so much time, so much energy, so much effort worrying about what other people are thinking of us when actually they're not? We're all thinking about ourselves. When someone's in the audience in front of you and you're presenting to them, they're thinking about, what's in this for me? What can you say that's going to help me get more results, do better in my career? Please give me something I can use, and stop worrying about yourself. I'm not thinking about you. And so that little thing completely transformed me, because now I realized, oh my God, nobody's thinking about me. I can get up on stage. I can get out of my own way. I can start to focus on them. That's what they want. They're thinking about themselves too. And so I started to shift my point of attention from it being about me to it being about them. And so
that is true. That is very true. That is very true. People are thinking about their pimples, about their hair, about their I'm wearing white or green. What's going on? Where is my cat? How is? Yeah, it's about. I absolutely agree with you.
I'll give you the one little tip. The one thing to overcome the fear of public speaking is stop thinking about yourself, because nobody else is. They're all thinking about themselves. So start thinking about them, and they're going to want more from you. That's it. Now, you asked me like a few little tricks and tips. Now, there are only 4 things you need to know to be a great public speaker and a great storyteller. This is the core of 10x Speaker. And these 4 things are simple. Can I use the whiteboard?
Yes, of course. It's wonderful. I can see it very well.
Can you actually, is this actually in the screen?
Yeah, like this. Yeah, like yes. Okay. Now it's perfect. Absolutely.
These are the 4 things that you need to know to overcome the fear of public speaking, but actually just become a powerful speaker. The number one thing that stops people from getting up on stage is nerves. This nervousness.
This is what you did in the bushes, because you were so nervous you couldn't talk.
And most people say no. They become hesitant, because a lot of these speaking opportunities, like my TEDx, they come up last minute. It's like the day before, the week before, and we find reasons why we shouldn't do it. We find reasons why we're too busy, why we can't, why we're not ready. And so one of the keys is really to go from this state of hesitancy, where you sort of lean back, to a state of excitement, where you lead forward into it. And for that, you need a method, right? You need to be prepared. And so the first thing I teach is how to manage your nerves. Because what I realized is that the more you want something, the more you fear it. And the more you fear something, the more you want it. It's like fear becomes a guiding compass. Now, any entrepreneur.
In Japanese, they say aku junkan. Aku junkan, it's like an evil round. The more you want something, the more you're nervous. The more you're nervous, the more you cannot get.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, aku junkan, it's like evil round, you know.
Aku junkan.
Akun junkan, you know, it's like I'll check it out. Which she did this. Yeah.
This is basically based in psychology, but what it does is that it means, because people are trying to get rid of their nerves, right? They don't want to be nervous on stage.
Of course.
It's actually an illusion. When you're not nervous on stage, I've come to the point where I'm not nervous on stage. Oh my God, it's a boring, emotionless environment. You don't want that too long. You'll do it a few times, but it becomes very boring. Actually, the more you want something, the more nervous you get. And so instead of getting rid of your nerves, you just got to learn how to manage them, because nervousness and excitement are the same emotion. They release the same chemicals into your bloodstream. You know, when you're nervous, you shake. When you're excited, you shake. When you're nervous, you sweat. When you're excited, you sweat. When you're nervous, you breathe faster and talk faster. When you're excited, you breathe faster and talk faster. They're very similar emotions. And what makes the difference on whether you feel nervous or excited, because at the end of the day, it's just a feeling, is the outcome you envisage for yourself. If you envisage a bad outcome for the presentation, you're going to be nervous. The worse the outcome, the more nervous you're going to be. If you envisage a good outcome for your presentation, you're going to start to get more excited. An even better outcome, you're going to be super excited, right? So it all happens up here. And so this is a little trick on how to manage your nerves. And I give some physical and some mental tricks. The second thing is, and this changed my speaking forever, is the use of story mapping. It's like a kind of mind mapping, and it's called story maps. And story maps, it's a kind of mind maps, but it allows you to remember your speech as an image instead of many, many different words and sentences. We're really, really bad as human beings at remembering in sequence. You know, like if I told you, what's the letter after K? What's the letter after O? What's the letter after U? What's the letter after E? Now, 20% of people will just say it like that. But the other 80%, we need the song, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. We need to go through the whole sequence before we remember the next event. And that's what happens when you do a speech. When you try to remember your speech word for word, and we've seen this, someone comes out, they've got a big speech, they're 3 sentences in, and they have a hiccup, and they go, oh, I'm sorry, can I start again? Right? Because they need to go through the sequence.
Yeah. Because they memorized it instead of putting points.
Yeah.
They don't remember it visually how it should be. And if you skip something, it's not a big problem. People didn't know what was if you skip something, no problem. You can continue still.
Yeah. So when you're using story maps, you're actually using emotion to bring up memory. Emotions is what makes memory stick. Without emotion, there is no memory retention. If you listen to a presentation and it's boring as hell and you can't, there's no emotional connection to this, it'll just go one ear out the other. You won't remember a thing. But if someone shares with you a story that makes you cry and teaches you a powerful point, you will remember that for years to come. Right? So emotion.
It can even change your life completely. It can give you something. Maybe you will change your profession. Maybe you will do something you never did before. Maybe you will meet somebody. One speech can change completely your day, your year, and maybe your life.
Absolutely. And when you look at it, what do all great speeches have in common? A powerful story. They have a powerful story in it. A powerful story that teaches a powerful point that gets you so emotional that the information is printed into your memory. And that's what story mapping does. It allows you to remember your speech through an image, because we're much better remembering as an image. So this is the story map for my TEDx talk. The original one, the one I had on the stool, on the little chair next to me, it's just a story map. And it allows me to see my whole presentation as an image. And the circles are stories, and the text next to them are points that I make with that story.
This is about these connections, yeah?
Meaningful connections, yeah. And then the third thing is this thing called BSA, and it's broad spectrum appeal. It's the ability to appeal to a broad group of people, to everybody in the room. And there's actually a technique to this. And it's in lesson 7 of the 10X Speaker course. It's a free course. And in lesson 7, I actually keynote on this lesson. I've been paid 10,000 euros to be on stage for 30 minutes and just share lesson 7 of the 10X Speaker course. And I've done it in Taipei, I've done it in Barcelona, in many different countries. And I just present lesson 7, and they can get it free online, but I do it as a paid keynote. And all I'm describing is how to appeal to everybody, how to create broad spectrum appeal, how to build rapport with everybody in the room. And there's actually a pattern to it, and it's called the charisma pattern. And it's the key to becoming charismatic on stage. And charisma is simply the ability for everybody to connect with you and you to connect with everybody. And so you're highly charismatic. And so everyone wants more from you, right? Barack Obama has this. Nelson Mandela has this. Simon Sinek has this. Most great speakers have charisma. And
I will add one thing to that, Chris. You know, when at last DiCaprio got Oscar, so many years he was looking for that. I think all the world was waiting when at last he will get his Oscar. And then he said that, let's talk not about that, but about environment, because if there will be no environment, all of us will die. And there no need for movies, no need for teachers, no need for coaches. So let's save environment. That's why he's so much into saving tigers, because he appealed really to everybody. Only from this Oscar speech, he starts talking about environment because it's for everybody. So I think all presidents in their speeches, really, they tackle the interests of all the audience.
Yeah, there's on the interest side. So the last thing is story, because a great speaker is a great storyteller. We've been learning through stories for millions of years. Around the campfire, the tribal elder used to teach the village on how to survive, how to hunt, how to eat. And they did it through storytelling. And this has been something that's been ingrained into our DNA, into our way of learning. And more recently now with the internet and this busy connection and, fragmented attention, we're not hearing many stories anymore. And when we do, we connect with them, right? It's the great speeches, it's the great movies, it's the great story arcs that tell a story. You're into filmmaking, the hero's journey, and how we really connect emotionally with the characters, because the story, well, it's our story too, right? A part of it, we've lived out a lot of these journeys ourselves. And so story is an opportunity to create emotional connection. And when you create an emotion, you create a memory. And so that's the last component of these 4 things that you need to learn to become a powerful speaker, a thought leader, and inspire people through stories and through speaking. And you can do it verbally, but you can also do it in written form. There are many authors that share stories, right? And public speaking is just one of those things now that is it's not just the ability to speak in front of a group of people. It's this incredible accelerator to personal development. Because when you can get up in front of 1,000 people and share a powerful story and get a standing ovation, what you have to go through to get to that stage and what happens afterwards, it makes you, it's just one of the fastest ways to develop personally and professionally. It's just, if you want to learn how to swim, just dive into the deep end. If you want to learn how to communicate, learn how to speak in public.
It's very interesting that for you, Chris, after getting PhD, after making vaccines, and then going to this field, of course, it's quite unique, quite unusual. And I agree with you that also with all these thousands of connections, now we need to think, because, it's good to be connected. But you're absolutely right that we are animals who were developed for so many centuries, and there should be some limit. But then when you do this 100% public speaking using all these 4 points, which are like very easy, but when you prepare, I think there is a huge preparation. Like this list that you showed, that there are thousands of small details that you put, and that's the reason why your TEDx speech became that powerful. So many people watched it, and so great feedback from people. Actually, you helped so many people, and I like this number now, 150. I will remember that because it surprised me, and I would like to thank you very much. All the best to your cat, since you love cats that much. It's really very, very nice to know you. It was my big pleasure. Good luck to you. And my last question to you, you recommend to do vaccine or not?
Well, vaccines generally take about 20 years from idea to being effective in a larger population. It's not a fast or a process you can speed up. You increase the risk, right? So But then again, we're in unprecedented times. There's so much money, there's so much resources, there's so much need for this that you know, and science can do amazing things. So I don't know. I think we probably do need one at some point. But then again, when we do have one, the next bug's going to pop up. So we're going to need another one, right? These things, this is just nature taking its course, right? And we just have to learn how to deal with that. So I think the best vaccine of all is just to stay healthy in body and mind, and look after yourself and look after the people you care about.
And learn public speaking. Then you will be more efficient and you will do everything better. Thank you so much.
On that, Olga, learning public speaking, 10x Speaker is a movement. It's a community. It's a free course. It's 10 powerful lessons. You can sign up for it at 10xspeaker.com. You'll get 10 lessons from me that will give you everything you need to know to be a powerful speaker and tell a powerful story. And you know, when you said you need a lot of preparation, well, actually, you just need a powerful story and a bunch of stories that you know how to combine in a specific order. And that actually takes 15 minutes. And just doing that and delivering that from a stage can drive incredible results, not just for you and your speeches, but also for your business or whatever topic you're trying to get out there.
So, absolutely, because now every businessman, he become a storyteller. Absolutely. Every businessman, every person who is developing his brand. So it's not just, you know, like a luxury, oh, I will go to 5,000 people. I'm not going to anyone. I'm speaking even only with 10 people. Even with 10 people, you should know that. Even with 15 people, even when you talk, you are the president of the company and 100 people are listening to you, even for that, because 100 people is your company. But if you have 1,000 people or 10,000 people, you should know that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's stories that inspire change. And we've seen that through and through the ages. Stories inspire change. So start using stories in your presentations and people will change faster. They will be inspired more and you will get more momentum into your business.
Thank you so much. That was the story from Chris. Thank you so much. My pleasure. All the best to you. Thank you for being with us.